Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Taurus. If Taurus is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so we have the Emperor card. Okay, and let's see what these tea leaves have to say tonight. All right, and if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It's free to subscribe. It is free, it is free. Okay. So I see we have, it looks like, I almost imagine 2 deer. We have 2 deer, maybe 3. But we also have a dog. And I kind of almost imagine like a hunting dog chasing these deer through the woods. And but then kind of the tables turn, the deer chasing the dog. And I feel like this is a time in your life where things are feeling maybe like really turned around, like where you don't really know the up from the down, right? Everything just switched and you find yourself in a place that doesn't feel very familiar. Now, I think for most people, they would say, wow, this is awful. I don't know what the heck I'm going to do. I'm totally stressed out and freaked out. And, everything that I believed or everything that had been now is absolutely different. And I don't know what to do with myself. Well, I think for you, Taurus, you love change. You love a challenge. And so I feel like when the pursuer becomes the pursued, this is kind of an exciting exchange for you. I think for the first time, you are the one that is kind of being, not sought after. You've probably been sought after, I imagine. But I do feel like the attention is on you. Everybody's kind of watching your movements. And I feel like there's almost a sense of almost being copied or something. A sense of something that you really was like, it was like your thing, something that you were known for. Almost kind of, I don't know, like, this seems so silly, right? But here's how I think of, like, how I can relate this in my mind is here in the Midwest where I live in America, there's a big culture of things like potlucks. If you don't know what a potluck is, it's kind of any kind of little party or gathering. It could be like a holiday, it could be a work event, whatever. Everybody brings a dish. And usually most people have like their go-to thing. Everybody knows that they're, Jane is known for her, brownies, and Bob is known for his tater tot hot dish, which is a big deal in the Midwest, and or casseroles. Some people call them casseroles. You know, and so on and so on. But then every once in a while, somebody will go ahead and make the thing that somebody else usually brings. So then you end up with like 2 potato salads. Now, obviously they're different because 2 different people made them, and they probably have different recipes and so on. But the thing is, if you kind of show up with somebody else's main dish, that's very risky. But I think and I'm not saying this is what's going on, but this is like in my mind. Like you have to imagine not where I come from. I come from California, but where I have been for like the last 20 years now, this would be in the paper maybe. I mean, I'm not even kidding. This kind of drama is a big deal. So, but I feel like you are somebody who is kind of competitive. So it's almost kind of like, oh, good. You know, so now I'm really going to highlight how much better mine is. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you see it as a challenge and you are ready to meet that challenge. So whatever this is in your life, it kind of is almost like refreshing because it's like a wake up from whatever lull you have been in. Suddenly there's somebody who is kind of, you know, trying to post up on you, and you're not going to have that. Taurus is not going to be pushed out. Taurus is not going to be, you know, nobody's going to take your shine, right? You do whatever this is well. This is something you love. And, but also at the same time, I feel like you're a person that knows that there's this kind of scarcity mentality for things. It causes much more grief than it should be, right? You're somebody, I think, that's open and happy to make room for anybody, right? There's enough room for everybody. Some of us maybe do the same things, maybe not. That's why, you know, for me, I love not all of the other readers, but you know, the ones that I connect with, the ones that I listen to and I'm like, wow, that's really, you know, very moving for me. I really, really feel this person, you know, and I think that some people kind of have this idea like, oh, well, you know, I'm not going to support other, you know, people within my field or that does the same thing in my industry or whatever, because there's only a limited amount of room. Well, I don't know. You know, I think that personally, there's room for everybody, right? And I'm not very competitive. That's not something that I am, but I'm not a Taurus either. I'm a Virgo. You know, I'm just kind of focused on my own thing, but, I could see, you know, where, yeah, you know, you're inviting in a variety of, different kinds of practitioners or, you know, people within your subculture or whatever it is that you're into. And it keeps us working harder, I think. Not harder, but it keeps us working in passion. That's my feeling. You know, I enjoy the collective energy. I guess that's what it comes down to. I feel like in a lot of ways I've been so blessed to enter kind of like a, you know, like a family. I was going to say sisterhood because most of the readers I listen to happen to be women, but that I just happen to relate to these people. Now, there are others, of course, and of course my husband is a tarot reader, and his name is Paul. He has Dove and Serpent Tarot. If you have not seen it, go check it out. There's links to it in my channel profile, or on the channel page. You can see the links up there. But, you know, I do feel like there's a sense of family even in our competition. And I think Taurus has always been really in tune with that. And that's what keeps you motivated to be crafting your skills, you know, really honing them. And that's why I think that you end up being so successful in the things that you do. Because you're not just kind of living on your own island. Okay, so we have a person here who has a dog. And I feel like they're kind of almost running towards, and I see we have is it a pig or is it I almost think it's a possum. It looks like a possum. One of the cutest little marsupials ever. So I almost kind of feel like there's a situation surrounding maybe like a good friend who I feel like is maybe having a rough time. I feel like this is somebody who's been struggling, but you are absolutely devoted to them. And I feel like you've been doing whatever you can to try to help them. And I feel like it's almost kind of like they're in kind of a melancholy or depressive state. And I feel like they're just maybe going through one of those periods of time where it's hard for them to kind of manage aspects of their life. Okay, just, you know, kind of those executive functions that really get distorted and hard to do when you are not feeling yourself, when you're in those like kind of anxious or depressive or, you know, whatever kind of mental health thing is going on. And I feel like you are there for them. I feel like you are the person that's kind of really checking up on them. I can imagine you kind of going and helping them, even like make sure bills are paid and this kind of thing. And I think this is I feel like as I'm saying this, you are going to be like, not even like necessarily, what I'm trying, like you haven't told anybody about this. It's not something that you brag about. It's not like your virtue signaling kind of thing that or whatever, you know, like you're some saint because you're helping out your friend and you're like doing everything for them or whatever. I don't think that you talk about it because you love this person and you absolutely elevate their dignity. You know, that's something that's important to you. It's a priority. That you also, you know, don't want to speak on things that are kind of not for you to speak on in your own mind. This is, you know, these are private matters and they stay private. And so I almost kind of feel like, you know, to you, it's like, duh, this is like what you do for people that you love. But the reality is most people do not take care of theirs. I mean, you know, not as we should. And I think you still just really have this deep sense of community and it's almost kind of like, I feel like a tribal connectivity. You know, I think you look at these relationships as being part of a greater whole. And then we have that possum, and the possum to me is such a any of the animals that have the mothers have a lot of baby, you know, and you see them kind of now the possums, they're marsupials, so they have little pouches, kind of like a kangaroo, and they're what are they called? I don't know. A puppy? No, not a puppy. Kit? No, maybe I can't think of what they're called for a possum. Whatever the babies are called. They live in the pouch until they start to get too big. There's too many of them. So the mom takes them around on her back. She holds that, you can look up pictures. They're hanging on the sides of her. They're hanging on the top of her. This poor mama is, you know, walking around, waddling around with all these babies hanging off of her. And so in my mind, I look at this and I think always of this ability to endure even like the most difficult things for the people that you love, for those who you are loyal to, who you are devoted to, right? And that's not to say that this is what's happening in this situation with your friend, but I do think that you take on so much. You carry the world on your back a lot of times. And I think that you are also a person who is pretty humble in some ways, right? Not every way, but in some ways you're pretty humble. And I really think that you are just one of these special beings who feels like the way that you treat others is how everybody treats each other, or at least, you know, how they should. And the reality is that it's kind of such a rare occurrence. And, but you are somebody who takes care of things. You are somebody who has such a big heart. You're so loving. I think you're very expressive about how you feel. And, you know, the big thing too is that you say what you mean and you mean what you say. So you are somebody who is reliable, okay? You're somebody who people trust. And so this friend of yours, I think you are the only one that they would ever kind of be vulnerable with in this way. And that speaks volumes to the kind of person that you are. And, you know, we all would do well to try to, you know, emulate this kind of energy that you have, this way that you live. It does not come naturally to most of us, right? We have to cultivate these things. And, but for you, it just, and you know, this is very much that emperor energy. Now the emperor is interesting because, you know, you think of the emperor as being kind of, he sits on a throne in his castle on the hill and, you know, makes the decisions, and often they're tough ones, but they're for the, you know, supposedly the greater good if there's not a lot of corruption there. But, you know, I also think of this as kind of being like a proxy father figure. Sometimes not in the best ways, but also, you know, this can be somebody who loves deeply and passionately and would do anything for theirs, right? That kind of father. The father that you know that they're going to show up as soon as you call them, right? And I do. I think that Taurus, that's that kind of energy that you have. And, you know, I feel like you are beloved to those in your life and they are beloved to you. So that energy is matched so well. Now, I want to look at this big old ox up here, or maybe it is a bull. With that tail, it tells me it might be a bull there. So we do have this like very intense Taurus energy coming through. I think you're in like your super activated place. We are coming into Taurus season, of course. So this all makes sense. And I do feel like there is a place here, you know, where you're starting to think about what's going to be next. We have a person sitting on a horse looking towards the future. We have a heart. Okay. We also, it looks like, have a 3. And then we have flowers up here, or a flower, excuse me. But there's also the cross. So I do feel like there is a sense of, you know, really being activated in your totality, in your ever-growing wholeness. But I also feel like, you know, there is this sense of wanting to continue to grow yourself. And I do feel like this will be in a sphere of faith, of having a deeper connection to that divine thing. We have 2 3s I'm looking at here. We have a 3 and a 3 right here and right here. One looks also like a bird. And with the horse, that is a movement. It is a movement forward. It is a movement of energies. It is really that system being cleared out of any big blockages, and the emotional, the psychic, flow of energy through mind, body, soul is really, really good and clear. Okay. And with that heart, it's a 3 in the heart. I kind of feel like it's I almost wonder if this is children or grandchildren. But I feel like this is kind of a focus for you. I feel like, there's a sense of kind of getting into this phase in your life where you will be focused more on the home and the family to some degree. A real motivation to kind of spend time with these kids, if they are your children, your adult children, or the grandkids. Maybe the summer's coming up pretty soon, the winter in the southern hemisphere, of course, but here in the northern hemisphere, a lot of kids having time off of school, and a lot of grandparents watching kids if you're not working still, of course. And so, yeah, I feel like there's this real kind of that aligned with your spirituality, and we have times when we are really focused on that stuff, and sometimes, life kind of gets going and you're busy, and you're not keeping up with your practices and studies and all the things that go along with that. But during this time, I feel like you are going to be very focused on having that relationship with the divine, having sign symbols, visions, dreams, and kind of basking in that middle place, we kind of go into when we get deep into the work. And so it does. It feels like this spring, this fall, wherever you are, it really is a potent energy. And one that, you are absolutely activated. Full Taurus mode. Full Taurus mode. And, when we get around our birthday months, we start thinking about the passage of time and the meaning of life, and all these kinds of big questions that come up. Okay, so we have 113 right here. Oops. Yeah, 113. Oh, and then we have 2 and 4, so 24. It turns over to 24. We have a fish. So the fish to me always tells me there's money coming in. There's some money on the way. Usually it's work. Because you can think of the fish as being, you're out there fishing, you're doing the work, you're catching your catch. Lots of abundance and resources and so on and so on. But in this case, it looks like something is carrying the fish. Oops, let me pull this up here. My distance is different, so I can't just lay it down and point at it. It looks like the fish is being carried by like a bird or something like this. Now we have a person here who's reaching up towards it, okay? And we have a 7, so lucky number 7. But it does feel like this is maybe something that is going to be brought to you. have you ever seen an animal catch something and then drop it? When I was a kid, this girl that I hung around, we were, you know, this is back when kids had their bikes and they, you know, no cell phones, and we just roamed all day during the summer. We'd just get up and go roaming around on our bikes. And we were, you know, hanging out and, you know, whatever, getting into trouble. And we were kind of, I forget even exactly what we were doing, but we were kind of like hiding from these kids we knew that we went to school with. And we were like, you know, hiding behind a car, we didn't want them to see us because we basically didn't want to hang out with them, I think, or something like that. And all of a sudden, right behind us, something fell out of the tree, just hit. And I thought, oh my gosh, somebody threw something at us. And we turned around and it was a bird. And I think it was a blackbird. It maybe was a magpie, but I'm thinking in my mind that it was like a crow or, you know, or a raven or something. Maybe I'm misremembering that. I don't know. But it was definitely a bird with black on it. And it was not a tiny bird. It was a big bird. And a medium-sized bird, I guess you would say. And anyways, its head was gone. And in the neighborhood, there was a hawk, right? And the hawk would eat, you know, have its meal, and sometimes would leave parts of the meal around. And so I'm thinking, as I'm looking at this, that it's not a bird eating a bird, but it is this feeling of kind of something just falling out of the sky. And it's like, kind of like, what the heck, where did this come from? So I do wonder if there will be some kind of, you know, maybe some kind of win. Maybe you're somebody who, you know, plays the lottery or horses. Or I don't know anything about gambling. So I'm not ever going to tell you to go do that or give you any advice, because absolutely I don't do it. I've never, maybe once gambled, I think. I don't know. I guess if you pick, or if you consider deciding what are they for, like baby showers, where you pick like a date that the baby might be born. That's the only kind of gambling I've ever done, really. So I would not give you that advice, but it could be that. It could be like a raise at work. It could be, you know, like some kind of money coming in from, you know, I don't know, something that you didn't realize is going to bring income, or, you know, a family member giving you a gift or leaving you some money or something like this. I don't know exactly, but it feels like that bird dropping that thing, and it's just right on the ground, right in front of you. Here it is. This is your gift from the universe. And so not too shabby, not a bad thing. Okay, now we're gonna look at the Wild Bohemian affirmation cards. These are the fire sign, and I'm gonna go ahead and let's get this in focus. Oh, come on. My lighting is different, so my studio is all different, and I changed the tablecloth and stuff. So bear with me. I'm trying to figure all this out. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna flip through and stop where it feels right. Okay, I think this one's upside down. Nope, it's not. It says, I am seer. You know how to clear and renew. Art and creativity are your magnificent tools. You know how to clear and renew. Art and creativity are your magnificent tools. Yes. All right, Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. And you know what? Every time I do a Taurus reading, I say, you all are artists. I know every great artist, not everyone, but I would say some of my favorite artists are Taurus people. You know, I kind of like came up in the art scene in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I moved up here in the beginning of the zeros, so over 20 years ago, and I say up here, I'm not in Minneapolis anymore. I haven't been for a long time. But anyways, yes, I know a lot of artists is what I'm getting to, and I attempted to be an artist myself, but so many Taurus people that just, I don't know what the heck. I really was like, how many Taurus people have some profound ability in art? I would really like to know. And now I know some of you tell me on here, I'm not artistic at all. I'm not a creative person, but I wonder, I really wonder, is there a creative thing going on that you just aren't considering it to be like artistic ability? Okay, all right. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you and I thank you. And let's see, if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel so much. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I would love to hear from you. Some sound came on. I don't know what that is. It's so loud. I'm working in a different place. So, well, it's a new studio. So I'm like not used to all the different sounds and stuff. I have to go find out what that is. All right. I love you. We'll talk again soon. Good night.